Paul with a different look at things. So I think we approach a lot of our projects differently, and this was one of them. This is the final picture of the project, and it was a project we worked with Rios Clemente Hale on. They kind of came up with the overall design of it, and they came to us to figure out how to
I actually got a
grow all
phone
these
call at the
plants,
nursery, and they said, you know, we're thinking about a living wall. Do you have any ideas for a plant list? And you know, right away I took it up to Matt and Paul, and this is what it turned out to look like.
So we helped them. We developed the plant list with their input, and then we developed the entire system to hang this thing off of the side of the building. Each one of those strips is about a 3.5 foot wide steel basket that's 6 feet tall and about 5 inches thick. So we helped develop the system with the structural engineers and the installers of that steel infrastructure to hang these baskets on the side of the building. We did a mock-up more for plant material and for the client to kind of see what it was going to look like on the left side. And then the structural steel people came in, started hanging all the steel off the side of the building, and then we began planning it. Here's our crews on 4 booms. The tallest boom is about 85 feet up off Hollywood Boulevard, or Sunset Boulevard.
This is about the time when I was here looking up, I said, oh, what have I done now?
There were definitely challenges.
We're right on, you know, the highest profile, highest risk, Sunset Boulevard. And then I looked up, and it was the day after we planted, and the hummingbirds were there. And I thought, that's why we're here.
And this was, this structure, the architects wanted to keep it very lightweight looking, so we had to find an incredibly lightweight soil blend that would support plant growth, drain very well. For the few storms that Los Angeles gets in a year, they can be pretty intense at times, and develop something that was going to support our plant material. And work with our construction crew. These are all guys that work for Rana Creek. They were working 10 to 12-hour days for about
6 days a week.
6 days a week. So that's kind of what it looked like after everything had grown in. And we're still currently maintaining it. And the client says, can we change the color of this plant material over here? So we'll go in and tear out some plants and put something else in. And a real interesting part of this project is the water story also. And Blake worked a lot on that, so I'm going to turn it back over to Blake and talk a little bit about water.
Yeah, when Paul and I visited the site, the architects that we were doing the site visit with mentioned that there was some water that might be available that would be non-potable. They were vague, and they weren't even 100% sure what that looked like. We were in the basement checking out where we'd be putting controllers and equipment, and this pipe you could hear just hanging from the ceiling, just
Running
it was
water.
like a 6-inch pipe, just gushing water. And we're like, where is that coming from? And we got the records, and the building manager provided all the records, and it was 8,000 gallons a day of dewatering water from the basement. So we're like, well, what can we do this? And they had an NPDES permit to dump the water. And that kind of raised a red flag for us. It's like, oh, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's very likely that we could modify the NPDES permit in order to actually use it. We looked through the water scans and the data. It was super clean.
It's probably the cleanest water in the LA basin.
Yeah. Well, there's just an underground river down that just running underground there. So we looked into it. We wrote a letter to I made some phone calls and wrote a letter to NPDES. They said, absolutely. For beneficial use, that is one of the criteria that we look at when we evaluate whether a modification to the permit can be made.
And I think it's really interesting that the project probably wouldn't be possible without that water.
Yeah,
Because
no doubt.
with that lightweight soil, it drains so quickly that we're irrigating through an automated system 2 or 3 times a day, depending on season. And they had people that were driving down the street as it was going in, tweeting to the client that
And-
this is terrible. How could you be using all this water in Los Angeles
We're
in
in
a
a
desert?
drought.
We became the joke of the comedy club. Dane Cook had his Twitter account lit up about the waste of water, and it's a really great story because it demonstrates that we don't. If we look at other sources, whether it's gray water, black water, which we'll show you some of those examples, cooling tower blowdown, and I think this mining these basements. I've been to so many of these seminars with architects, and one of the biggest problems in California are these expansive clay soils and concrete cracks, and almost all these basements have sumps. And I thought, there's our water. Let's just get it there. And this was a great example how we had a zero potable water application in the entire landscape. I think we got to roll because we have a lot to share with
We have
you.
a lot to share, so I'm going to have to go fast here.